The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody out there. Thanks for listening to the show. All aboard. My name is Donald Wisman. We're right here live on Armed Radio. I've got Les Skymo. He'll probably stay in for a little while. And I've got Joe McFarland on here with me tonight. You guys want to say hello?
Hey, welcome, Mojo Man.
Yeah, well, he calling himself Mr. Mojo, and we got Skymo. So, well, anyway, as always, I want to send my prayers out to all the men and women serving in our military. Say thank you to all our country's veterans out there. Want to give a big shout out to Sheila from Texas if she's listening, and Chris from Chris Fitzwater from what state is it? Louisiana? Yeah, he's Louisiana. I know Chris is out there listening, and then anybody else out there listening, thanks for listening. And also listen, you guys, anybody out there listening to this show tonight, I'm gonna give this number out one more time. Now, this is the last time I'm giving this number out because I want somebody to call that's not on my friends list, all right? On my Facebook friends list. The number is, and this is toll-free. This don't cost you a dime. I know some people, they give you a number and it'll end up charging you on your phone bill, but this is free. Trust me. It's 1-800-508-5431. Call in and just let me know you're out there. I don't care if you hate me or you love me. Just call in. I don't care. Again, 1-800-508-5431. Now, if you support our president and you got a Facebook account, join my Facebook group. It's a group my wife created for me. It's called Trump 2020 ! Just don't forget that exclamation point. And you can also send me a friend request on Facebook. And my name's really easy to spell. It's Donald, like Donald Duck, or most of all, Donald Trump. Last name Wisman, Whisman. Okay. Now, you guys ready to get this show started?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. First thing, you guys, I want to say tonight is thank God Donald Trump is our president. I support the man 100%, and I believe in my heart that man has saved our country. You guys, this is our home, and our children's home, and our grandchildren. It's going to be their home. This president is putting America first, and that's the way it should be. We should all be thankful for what Trump is doing. And I'll never forget, and I just said this in a video yesterday, I'll never forget the first thing he said after he took his oath of office. I give this country back to you, and that's the way it should be, you guys. To us, we the people. It's our country.
Amen.
They work for us, even the president.
Yes,
and a lot of people, these politicians, they forget that. Now, no, Trump's not like that because he's not a politician. He was a businessman. But they get in there, and I know we've talked about term limits. And to me, Les and Joe, the longer a politician is in there, it gives them more time to get corrupt. I mean, do you guys feel that? Well, I know Joe kind of feels different than me and Les does, but
Well, I agree with that, but corruption's in the heart of man, but a person can be influenced to become corrupt, and our founding fathers left it up to us, but now I feel sometimes that the American people have failed to do what the founding fathers would want them to do.
Well, the politicians do, Les, and I'm sorry, Joe, but when they take that oath, Joe, Les, they take an oath to uphold the Constitution, and that's the foundation of our home is that Constitution, you guys. And think about it. Every time I see these liberals out here, I can picture them in my mind with a jackhammer, just going away on our foundation, which is the Constitution. And they're chipping it right now, Joe. Les, they're chipping away that foundation right now as we speak.
Oh yeah, that's their greatest obstacle. I mean, everything they do, you can see it tearing away at the Constitution.
Well, sure. And hey, here's something, you guys. Now this right here really got me today. I read these articles, and Joe, I sent this article to you. Now this Democrat that's running for governor of California, his name is Gavin Newsom. Like I said, he's running for governor of California, and here's what he wants to do. He said he wants to extend government-funded health care to everyone in California, including illegal aliens. Now, I don't get that. Why would you want to include government-funded health care to somebody who isn't even a part of our government? Take it away, Joe.
No, it's ridiculous. I mean, we can't even afford to do that here, nor should we aspire to. But, especially, I mean, people who aren't even our citizens. I agree.
And there's a guy. Now, this Gavin guy, he got the Democratic nomination to run for governor out there in California, Gavin Newsom, but there's a Republican running against him. His name's John Cox. Now, I would just love to see this John Cox take California this November. I would love to see it. I doubt it'll happen, but I'd love to see it, you guys.
I'd love to see it too. Actually, what I'd love to see is, California's been talking recently about splitting up into 3 different states.
Yeah, I heard about that.
That'd be great for the balance of the Electoral College.
Well, there's too many. What is it, like 54 or Electoral College votes for that state?
55 right now, yeah.
Is it 55? Gee whiz. I mean,
I can't even imagine how many seats they have in the House.
Oh yeah, the reps go by the population of the state. Now I know every state gets 2 senators. I like that, but yes, the population, they have a lot of representatives in the House of Representatives, and I think that would be a big thing because a lot of Republicans, if they did split that up in 3 states. One of them states would have to go Republican, you know what I'm saying?
I'm sure it would, because, you hear stories all the time about people who hate living there because it's so leftist.
Oh, you can't even, like right here in Ohio, we can go and buy a gun. Not in New York, you guys. Not New York, but California. Well, it's New York too, but, gosh, things are bad out there. It's almost like it's its own country, but they are part of our country, and I don't get it why, like the governor right out there, Jerry Brown right now, this guy thinks that he can pick and choose laws, Joe. This is a country of laws. We cannot pick and choose what laws we're going to enforce. But the governor out there right now, Jerry Brown, it's a sanctuary, not a city, but a state. The whole state's a sanctuary state. That is against the freaking law. I'm not cussing, but it makes me mad. And it's like illegal. What about Americans? It should be about Americans, not illegals, guys.
Yeah, that goes to the point you were talking about the corruption of statesmen, and they're using these people as a voter base, and they don't care if it destroys the country. They don't care if it harms our own citizens.
Well, you remember, Joe, last week, you mentioned something about socialism last week, Joe, and we talked about it. And Bernie Sanders, now I'll tell you, that's your true socialist there. Now he's going to be introducing this new legislation that would require large employees like Amazon, Walmart, McDonald's to fully cover the cost of food stamps, public housing, Medicaid, and other federal assistance received by their employees. Example, right here. If an Amazon or a McDonald's employee received $300 in food stamps, that means that Amazon or McDonald's would have to pay $300 in taxes. That is communism, you guys. You can't make these companies do that. You know what's going to happen if they do that? They're going to quit hiring, Joe. They're going to quit hiring.
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes back to my old catchphrase of the government creating all of their own problems. If we didn't have all these social programs, none of these people would be broke and they wouldn't need food stamps.
Well, you're right, Joe. And last week, I know maybe it wasn't on this show, but Les did a video sometime earlier this week or last week, and he was talking about Molly Tibbetts. I heard you talking about Molly Tibbetts this week, Les, and I heard Elizabeth Warren. Now, I puke. Like I said in my video yesterday, I puke. Every time I see this lady or hear her talking, I want to gag, all right? Now, she was on there. She was talking about all her sympathy for Molly Tibbetts, all this and that. And then she comes up and says, well, we need some immigration reform. Well, duh, what has Donald Trump been trying to do? Well, he's been trying to put a wall, Elizabeth, but you and your buddy Chuck and the rest of the peanut gallery, you've been blocking him. All they got to do is put that wall up, you guys. And I know I've said put landmines. I know we can't do that in front of it, but still, you put that daggone wall up. You're going to eliminate most of the drugs coming in this country. You're going to eliminate all them people just stepping across that border. And listen, Joe, once they step across that border without having the proper paperwork or coming here legally, I know it's just a misdemeanor. It's not a felony, but it's against the freaking law, man. Why do they keep doing it? I don't get it, you guys. I really don't.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to tune out, and I'm going to let you two take this show, okay?
All right. Les, you have a good one now. We'll listen to you tomorrow night, buddy. Everybody listen to Les Skymo tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on Armed Radio. It's called Unscheduled. Les, you have a good one, brother.
All righty, Joe. You got it? All right.
Yeah,
okay, fellas. God bless you. Jimmy, we love you, brother, and we'll talk to you later, man.
Later, Les. Now, Joe... Now, it's hard to believe that our country, it's only 242 years old, Joe. It's just amazing how that 3% of the people from 13 little colonies defeated the most powerful nation in the world back in 1776. And we became the beacon of freedom around the world. We live in the greatest nation, the most giving nation, the most powerful nation in the world today. This is our home, you guys, and we should be willing to give our lives for this country and for what it stands for. And it's just, right now, the population back in 1776, Joe, was only 2.5 million people. Now, today, what we got, it's not even half a billion. It's not even half a billion yet, is it?
Like
now,
300
back...
million, I think.
300 some million. That's not many people for as big as of a country we got. But look, back when England was invading us, trying to take we were from there in France and other countries, but now they had a population of 5 million compared to our 13 colonies, which was 2.5 million. But they said only 3% of those people got up and fought. Back then, Great Britain was the most powerful nation in the world. How did we beat them? I just wonder sometimes, how did we do that, man? I don't know.
I wonder that too. I just think it's amazing.
Now, I know France helped us a little bit, but do you think it was because of the militias and the guerrilla warfare that they wasn't used to? I wonder that sometimes.
I'm sure that's definitely a big part of it. I mean, we completely revolutionized the entire idea of war.
Well, you know what? Americans, we've really gotten good at war since 1770. We've really gotten good at war, and I got this 50 caliber rifle around here right now. I'll tell you, Joe, that's a big round, and I just couldn't imagine something like that coming out of them big Gatling guns. I don't know how many comes out per second, but I mean, we've come a long ways in gun technology in this country and around the world actually, But Americans, buddy, I'll tell you, we've done good. We've done good. We've had problems. We went through the Civil War. We even fought each other. And I think we're doing good, but I think we can do a lot better, Joe. I really do.
Oh, yeah, I think we can if we get rid of all the socialism.
The socialism and...
Since 1919, 1930s.
A lot of the Muslims that's pouring in this country, and I think they're up to something. I don't trust them. They're being awful quiet. And I'll tell you, Joe, right now in my own head, I will never forget what happened on 9/11. I will never forget what happened in Benghazi, Libya, when those 4 people got killed. I think one of them was an ambassador, Chris Stevens. Joe, do you know that when there was help right down the road, and them 4 guys thought they had the backing of the American military, but they were told to stand down, Joe, but they went anyway, but they delayed them just long enough for those 4 guys to get killed. But what gets me the most, Joe, is after all that happened, this is one thing, another thing I'll never forget. Hillary Clinton was in one of those Senate hearings, and she said, at this point, what difference does it make? Do you remember that?
I remember all of those things.
That's horrible. I mean, could you imagine what our country would be right now? What it would be like if Hillary Clinton would have won that election, Joe?
Oh, my God. It'd be horrible. I thought about this a lot, actually.
What do you think, your opinion, Joe, what do you think our country would be like right now if she would have won that election back in 2016, almost 2 years ago?
Well, for starters, we wouldn't know anything about all of the true, real rigging of elections that happened.
Right.
All that stuff with the FBI and her campaign, her foundations and stuff. That's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I don't think we would have elections from here on out. I don't think a Republican would ever be elected again, and we would just take so much deeper of a dive into socialism, and open borders and everything else, and I think it'd be the end of our country.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but during the election, President Trump told everybody, he said, if I don't get elected, and he was right, Joe, President Trump said there'll never be another Republican get elected again, and I don't know how he did it, but I'll tell you what, I think America had enough, Joe. I think we had enough, and we got called deplorables, and now we're called all these other names now just because we voted for a man that's helping our country. And, Joe, here in a little bit, we're gonna go down a list of things. We can't get to all of them. It would probably take 2 shows to go through all the accomplishments that our president has done since he's been in there less than 2 years. But I want to give you some good news, Joe. Last week, remember we was talking about down in North Carolina how they them I don't know what you can call them, socialists, Antifa, whatever they was down there. They knocked down that Confederate statue of Silent Sam. Yeah. Well, I got some good news. The police, they filed charges against 3 people that helped knock that statue down, and also Carolina, the Board of Governors said that monument, known as Silent Sam, will be reinstalled within 90 days. I think that's great. Now, Joe, you live around here, don't you, around where me and Les lives?
Yeah.
Well, our monument got put back up, right?
I heard about that.
But, Joe, nobody, the news was around when they took it wasn't a statue, it was like a road marker, a big rock with a big Robert E. Lee plaque on it, and they took it down, the news was all over, Joe, but when it got put back up, the news didn't come around not one time was it mentioned that it got put back up. I think it's a shame.
Yeah, I don't think they want people to know. I mean, I think that it's pretty obvious. I don't even need to mention it, but of course the news media is in the pocket of the Democrats, and they want people to be inspired to cause this kind of destruction.
Well, it's almost like they're encouraging these protests, and these protests just aren't peaceful, Joe. They're vicious. It should be stopped. I mean, we have a right to a peaceful protest, but when you get people burning cars and blocking traffic and knocking statues down, that's not a peaceful protest, Joe.
Yeah, we actually had another perfect example of both the unpeaceful protesting and the bias of the media. Just, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Unite the Right held some kind of rally, and it was kind of small, and they actually didn't end up causing any problems. But Antifa came out to counter-protest, and some of the Antifa members were assaulting the camera crew from MSNBC. And
insulting their own people then, the people who take up for them.
Yeah, and MSNBC didn't say anything about it. They didn't want to cast any negative light on Antifa.
Now, what would happen, though, if those news media outlets got attacked by Trump supporters? Oh, it would have been the worst news in the world, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Trump supporters attacked the media, Trump can't do anything right, Joe. The media is never going to give that man any credit for anything, man. I'm telling you. And now let's talk about something else here, Joe. Let's talk about our dear Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Him and Trump, as you know, they've been going back at it. They've been going back and forth to each other. Here's the thing, Joe. When President Trump hired Jeff Sessions as Attorney General, he gave him that job, and Jeff Sessions should have told our president then, when he hired him, that he was going to recuse himself from this Hillary Clinton investigation. He should have told our president. And I'll tell you the truth, Joe, Jeff Sessions isn't doing anything as Attorney General, and I think, it's my opinion, that after the midterm elections are over, we will be getting a new Attorney General, and Hillary Clinton should have already been in jail, by God. She should have been.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I don't think he's doing anything at all, actually. I haven't seen him. I literally have not seen one thing about any progress that he's made in that position. But I also agree with what you're saying. I mean, when Trump was hiring him to do that job, he expected him to do that job. And if he felt like he couldn't do that job, he should have let him know that he wasn't going to be able to.
Absolutely. And Donald, that's what makes our president mad. But, I mean, Joe, we got the midterms coming up. If Trump makes any moves right now, you know how the media does him, it would be like Trump's cabinet's falling apart. And I think it would hurt some of these Republicans out here that's trying to run for office right now. Some of them will probably come in and help Trump. That's the ones we need to get in there. The ones that's going to help our president. I don't want these ones that everybody calls rhinos. Republican in name only.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of those.
And another thing, Joe, these midterms, people need to get out here and pretend in their head just like it's the presidential election. We got to have a big voter turnout, Joe. Back in our primaries, it was horrible. Voter turnout in this state was horrible, Joe.
Yeah, it was. We got all establishmentarians who won, and I would argue that these local elections and the midterm elections are actually more important than the presidential election.
You're absolutely right, because these local elections affect us at home more than the federal elections. I know the midterms. We've got governors, we've got senators, we've got all the reps. You know, the reps have to run every 2 years, all the reps, state reps and federal representatives. But another thing, a representative, they get a 2-year term. Think about that. Okay, 2-year term. So they're in there. They may take them a month to get acclimated to the job. They work a year and a half, and the other 6 months they're campaigning. So they're really only working for a year and a half, you know, 3/4 of their term. The other quarter, they're whatever, the other part of it, they're out here campaigning. If they're going to do it, just let them be a representative for 4 years and quit wasting all this money out here campaigning and us paying them while they're campaigning. That's what I don't get.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous.
I think that's pretty ridiculous too. I don't even know how to fix that.
I don't need. Well, you can't really like the senators. I mean, you got the House of Representatives, and you know the Capitol building, and you got the Senate, right? Now a senator gets a term. They're 6-year terms. Yeah. The president only gets 4. A representative gets 2. I think they ought to simplify it and make it all 4. 2 4-year terms, but then again, what senator or what representative is going to vote themselves out of a job? I don't see it happening either. I really don't. And Jeff Sessions, no, he's not done anything. He's been a lame duck. He needs to be fired, because Joe, when we go to these I went to a Trump rally, and I used to watch a lot of them on TV, and everybody in them rallies would sit there and chant, "Lock her up, lock her up." Yeah. Then the guy gets in there. We all was expecting her to be a big trial to happen. What does he do? Oh, I'm going to recuse myself. That's a shame. It's a shame.
It is, and I'm surprised he hasn't been fired yet. Actually, the only thing I can think of, perhaps, to why he might not is that I mean, like you said, it just kind of looks bad, and the media always jumps all over it anytime Trump fires anybody. But I'm kind of hoping. I don't think it's true, but I'm kind of hoping that they might be working on something behind the scenes, perhaps an investigation on the hit.
Well, that's what I've been hoping for. I'm hoping President Trump's got, I don't know, somebody. I hope they're gathering evidence right now, enough evidence where she can't wiggle her way out of it. You know what I mean? And her husband, I mean, oh gosh, some should have been done a long time ago though. But I think they're going to try to nail them to the wall when they do nail them.
If they're going to keep going on and on and on and spending taxpayer money and time on this witch hunt of a Trump trial investigation, I mean, I think all of Hillary's crimes that are very much known to the public very, very much deserve investigation.
Yeah, I just got a message that said they hear somebody breathing in the background. I don't hear any breathing. You hear any breathing, Joe?
I don't.
It might be me. I don't know, but anyway, I don't know. The Hillary Clinton thing, I just think they're crooks. She should have been locked up, and I guess I'll end that with that. But I mean, I don't know. I'm just tired of all these the Mueller investigations. I'm tired of hearing about Michael Cohen, his ex-lawyer. I mean, this guy, I think he's trying to throw our president under the bus to save his own butt. And what happened to the client, lawyer, or attorney-client privilege? What happened there? Is that just not in play for our president? I mean, I don't get it, man.
No, it's ridiculous. They're breaking all kinds of laws with this thing, and even the initial start of the investigation was started under false pretenses, which is also illegal.
Well, I've been hearing that Trump may have to make an executive order to get the Department of Justice to release the Mueller documents. I don't know what documents they're wanting them to release, but there's some stuff. There's a lot of shady stuff going on. People think right now, because they listen to CNN, that our president's going to get impeached. Well, Joe, I'll tell you right now, and I'll tell everybody out there listening, President Trump is not going anywhere. That's just a thing that CNN's got going on to make everybody think he's bad. It's always bad. And let's talk about some of his accomplishments right now. You want to, Joe?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, now everybody out there listen, you guys. You're not going to hear this on the mainstream media. Now, me and Joe, we're going to go over some of these. We're not going to get to all of them because there's a lot of them. Trump's done a lot in less than 2 years being president. Now, Joe, I'm looking at the first one here. Trump cut off $200 million in aid to the Palestinians. Wow, $200 million. Some people think that ain't a lot of money. That's not chump change. Yeah. And what do we need to be helping the Palestinians for? I aid to the Palestinians? Really? Yeah, I don't get it. I think that probably was done under the Obama administration, Joe. Now, next one, Joe. Trump ends $230 million rebuilding payments to Syria. Now, I didn't think we were into nation rebuilding. I didn't think we did that anymore.
No, that's a globalist idea. I didn't think we did that either.
I mean, really? We're going to rebuild Syria? I don't think so. Now, next,
we didn't do anything to Syria.
What? No, I don't think we even went in there and attacked ISIS in Syria, have we?
I don't think so.
Well, you know what? They did it to themselves. They're having a civil war. Russia, they protect that guy over at, what's his name, Assad? Let Russia rebuild their country. Heck, they got money. Let them rebuild them. Another thing, Joe, Trump has our soldiers' remains returned home from North Korea. Nobody ever talks about that. He didn't get no credit for that, Joe.
No.
Trump signs right to try drug bill. Nobody ever talks about that.
I remember that. Oh, yeah.
The U.S. Embassy moved to Jerusalem by President Donald J. Trump.
And presidents have been promising to do that for multiple terms.
Yeah, it didn't take Trump nothing. He just did it. You know what I mean? He just did it, Joe. All right, here's another one. Trump secures release of American prisoners from North Korea. Now, they were over there as prisoners for a while. Trump got them home. Great guy. Yeah. Trump negotiates peace between North and South Korea, which I don't know how long that peace will last. Like they said they were going to denuclearize, and I think Trump even stopped that visit with Mike Pompeo, our Secretary of State.
I heard we found evidence that they're still continuing their nuclear program.
That's what I've been hearing. I hope it's not true, though, Joe, because, I mean, after all them years that we the war was never over with North Korea, but we did have a president that actually sat down and talked with this man. You got to give him credit for that, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
And, all right, another one. Trump signs order calling for work requirements for welfare programs. Well, he should. Why didn't Obama do that?
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to get free money, work for it, if you're able to work.
Yeah, that's not what they want on the left. They want everybody to be a slave dependent on the government.
Okay, keep coming now. I'm gonna keep, and you just keep answering here. Now, you know, everybody says Trump's a bigot, right? Well, this is historic. Trump nominated the first woman to be head of the CIA. He's a bigot, all right. That sounds like it's something a bigot would do, right?
And he's got so much diversity throughout his cabinet.
Sure. What was that Omarosa lady that turned on him? Now, he took that lady, I guess she was on that show that he had, and gave her a job at the White House. And then she turned, you know why she did that, Joe? For fame. Yeah. Fame. And
for decades, she's been on the record, too. People have asked her about if she thought Trump was a racist. And for decades, she said, of course not. I'd never worked for anybody who I genuinely thought was a racist. And then now that she got fired, she's out saying that he's a racist.
Don't most people do that, though? It's only after the fact. It's only after the fact when she lost Trump's respect. Now she's going to dog him. Yeah. All right? Feds, the federal government collected record taxes in first month under Trump's tax cuts. Run surplus in this past January. They didn't talk about that on the news.
Oh, yeah. I remember when those reports came in, and I've been telling everybody for a long time, actually, if you look at the state-by-state breakdown, states that have the highest income tax versus lowest income tax, it's always the states with no or low income tax that actually run the highest tax revenue.
Wow, that's pretty good. That's a good one, Joe. So you're actually reading all this stuff. That's good, man. I like that. All right, you ready for the next one?
Oh, yeah.
Trump signs sweeping 2-year budget deal, military funded. That's good. I like that. Next one. Trump Trump proposes biggest civil service change in 40 years. Hire the best and fire the worst. Did you hear about that one?
I don't think I heard about that one.
Well, it's because the news won't tell you.
Of course.
Trump signs bipartisan bill to combat synthetic opioids, which we should be doing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Trump shrinks federal bureaucracy by 16,000. I mean,
Drop in the bucket. I think we need more than that, but that's an excellent start.
well, he's not been president yet, but only less than 2 years now. That's a good start, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
President Trump set a record for lifetime appointed judges in 2017. That's awesome. We need to get rid of them Obama-era judges.
Yeah.
That's what's killing our country right now, by the way, in my opinion. But
that's where we really defend the Constitution too.
yes.
The Supreme Court.
Oh, yes.
Appellate judges.
Well, they interpret it different than, I don't know. I've been over this before. I don't know how these people interpret it different. I mean, it's written. I don't know how you, like the Second Amendment. How do you misinterpret the Second Amendment when it says "shall not be infringed" at the end, the bottom of it, the end of it? Speaking of that, if Hillary would have won as president, I tell you what, it would probably be really hard to get a gun right now. I guarantee it.
It would be.
Yes, Trump signed 96 laws in 2017. Nothing, you didn't hear nothing about it. The Trump administration set to roll back $900 million in Obama-era offshore drilling regulations. Now, you know all about the regulations. We've talked about them. Got to get rid of them. I know these people who I care for the environment, Joe, but my gosh, man, you can't regulate everything.
Oh yeah,
that's jobs, Joe.
it is.
The U.S. imposes sanctions on 52 people and entities for abuse and corruption. Nobody heard anything about that. All right, here's a big one. Individual mandate of Obamacare repealed under President Trump.
Oh yeah.
Now that there, to me, that mandate where if you didn't get Obamacare and have health insurance, that they was going to fine you for that, my friend, that's part of communism right there.
It is. It's extremely tyrannical. I could not believe that.
What government? I mean, Russia and China maybe, and North Korea. I mean, not in the United States. We're going to fine you if you can't, if you don't buy health care. Really? Trump got rid of that, but nobody even cared. The news media didn't care. Senate passes historic sweeping tax reform. You remember that one?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Because, I mean, you're probably making more money in your paycheck every week, aren't you?
I sure am. I'm making more money not just from the tax cuts, but from I got a raise because my company's making more money because of the tax cuts.
The economy's booming right now too. He's got construction. Construction. I think Chris Fitzwater said the steel mills are rolling. Climate change removed from the threat list. And really, if you think about climate change, look, I know you probably wasn't around back in the 70s, but they had this big thing, all this smog in the 70s. Gas prices, they soared. The cars were big. But where'd all that smog go? It seemed like the planet kind of cleaned itself up. I mean, I don't know if you probably don't remember that. I mean, what are you, 21?
Yeah, I wasn't alive back then.
Okay, well, I was born in 69. I'm not as old as your second cousin, Les. He's kind of an old guy to me, but I'm just joking, Les, if he's listening. But we'll go on to the next one. Trump administration is a deregulation machine. They eliminated, he only said 2 to 1, but this says 22 to 1. For every regulation, he got rid of 22 for every new regulation. What? That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. I mean, just like what you were talking about before, not only is that jobs for people, but that's taxpayer money that's not being spent.
Absolutely. And this is a big one, Joe. Listen to this one. Trump signed $700 billion defense bill, gives our troops the largest pay raise in 7 years. I think that's awesome. Obama never did it. These other presidents didn't care about our military, but under President Trump, he's rebuilding our military, and he's paying those men a better wage, which they do deserve, Joe.
They do. They need it, too. I mean, they don't get paid a whole lot, and yeah, they risk their life to defend everything we believe in.
You're right. There's an old song, you probably remember this one, by Billy Ray Cyrus. I don't really like him that much, but I like this song. All gave some gave all. We got to love our military. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. You should love our military and treat those men with respect. Treat them with respect.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Give them what they deserve.
If you disagree with what the government decides to do with the military, that's one thing. But I mean, those men and women who go out there and sacrifice everything, wasn't their decision.
You're absolutely right, and here's another big one. I mean, I think it's big. This is important to me. Under Trump, there's been a new space policy directive calls for human expansion across the solar system. Now, Joe, I don't know what happened when Obama was in office, but we got rid of all of our space shuttles. We don't go up in space anymore.
Didn't Obama completely defund NASA?
Something like that, but
yeah.
Joe, that's so important to me. I mean, that's more important than anything is knowledge. You know what's out there. We need to be up there. I like Star Trek. I don't know if you do or not, but all Star Treks. I'm into that stuff, man. Space, we need to learn about space. All right. And here's a big one. Probably it's a really big one. I think it was a really, really big one. Trump declares Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
Yeah, and I don't know a whole lot about that, but I mean, don't they recognize Jerusalem as their capital?
Well, the Israelis do, but the Palestinians and them other Muslim countries, they do not recognize Israel, and that's what they call Zionist or anti-Zionist. They don't believe that Jerusalem should have their own country. They don't recognize Jerusalem as a country. But President Trump sure does. But Obama, he didn't do anything for Israel that I know of. Nothing. Yeah. Nothing, Joe. Senate passes sweeping tax reform, 20% corporate rate, largest in 31 years. And nobody said anything. The news didn't.
Oh, yeah.
All right, what about this one? Trump shuts down CIA funding of Syrian rebels. Now, we were funding these rebels. I know they were trying to overthrow that, the Assad, but come on, man. Who funded us? I mean, back when we had a civil war, did anybody fund anybody? I don't think so, that I remember. But we don't go around funding people like that. We got enough trouble here at home, Joe. We got people starving here in this country.
I think if we're going to get involved in a war, I mean, we should have reason enough to admit it to our own people that we're getting involved.
You're right, and here's a big one. It's maybe a big one to you, Joe, and I do believe this. Trump's human and what's HHS? What is that? Health and Human Services.
Yeah.
They defined life as beginning at conception, and brother, that's when I think life begins at conception. And Joe, if you don't agree with me, you're more than welcome to disagree.
But I'm kind of on the fence. I mean, I believe that life begins at conception.
I mean, now since we got on this conception thing, people know where I stand on abortion. Since you're my new co-host, where do you stand on abortion, Joe?
I kind of agree with the idea that abortion should be legal but rare. In some cases, such as rape. Rape,
yes. Yes, but the thing is, Joe,
kind of necessary in those cases. But I mean, my biggest perspective on it is that it's 2018, and birth control has been around for a long time, and even then, abstinence is, of course, a 100% guaranteed method of birth control. So there's really no excuses to put yourself in a situation where you need or having an unnecessary abortion.
Well, a lot of women, and I've said it before, Joe, I don't like women who use abortion for birth control. I don't like it.
Exactly.
It's wrong. That's what needs to stop right there. And he's under Obama, Joe, and I know I keep going back to Obama. I'm really picking on him tonight. But under him, he got these abortions, Joe, where they call them like late-term abortions, and I've heard horror stories where they're pulling actual live babies out of these women and cutting them in the throat or something and just letting them bleed out. I don't know if it's true. That's the stories I've heard. I hope it's not true. I think it's an abomination. I think Planned Parenthood, they need to shut that down, and I think they need to repeal Roe v. Wade. And I know you know about Roe v. Wade. It was back in '73 is when the Supreme Court agreed on that ruling. But I think it's wrong, Joe. I think it's wrong, brother. Like you said, though, except certain circumstances like rape or the baby was going to be, I don't know, really like mentally retarded or brain dead or something, or it was going to kill the mother. I could see that, Joe, in special circumstances.
But I mean, even then, like you said, like it should really be during the first trimester or something. Those late-term abortions, even I don't know exactly what you were talking about, but like the more mainstream common knowledge ones are still really horrible.
Oh, it's bad.
When Obama was a senator, he proposed a bill that post-birth abortions should be legal.
Oh, geez, they went too far. It's just, it's an abomination in our country. And now, Joe, I don't go to church regularly. I know Les does. Les is a preacher. Do you go to church regularly, Joe?
Not regularly, no.
But I do believe in God. Now, this stuff, I'm telling you, we keep this up. I think God is shining His light on our country. I think He always has. But if we keep this crap up, Joe, He's going to take His light off this country, man. And without the Lord shining His light on this country, we will fail. We will, like Abraham Lincoln said, if our country ever falls, it'll be from within. And I do believe what he said. I believe that.
Yeah, I agree with that. We definitely got to turn things around.
Now, and another thing, President Trump, he declassified and released the JFK files, which I think is pretty cool. We all wanted to know what happened to JFK. I don't know how much they got out of that. I don't know how much of it was redacted, right. But it's something I always wondered about. Iran deal was decertified. That's awesome.
Yeah.
This deal that Obama made.
Monstrosity of a deal.
Joe, we've got a call. I guess we'll take it. You can hear them, but they won't be able to hear you, all right?
All right.
All right. Thanks for calling All Aboard. Can I get your first name and what state you're calling from, please?
Lisa, Ohio.
Hello, Lisa. What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, I just have a question. You guys have been talking about Obama quite a bit tonight, and I wondered what you and Joe think about the rumor and the idea that Obama's running the shadow government.
The shadow government, I kind of believe in it. You kind of like, I don't really know. I don't trust Obama. I think that he hasn't given our president. When Obama left the White House, he's supposed to step aside and let our new president govern. But I do think he is meddling. I do think he's meddling in his business. And Joe can hear you, but he can't answer you back. You won't be able to hear Joe. But Joe,
okay.
What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I agree that he's probably involved. Now, I think I remember hearing him saying something about how after he leaves office, he doesn't plan on leaving politics. He plans on staying involved. But
Lisa?
I do definitely believe.
What'd Joe say?
He believes he's agreeing with you, Lisa. He's agreeing that he's probably involved with that. But Lisa, I want to thank you. You're the first one we've had actually call that wasn't on my Facebook friends list. So I thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Have you been listening to our show long, Lisa?
No, not too long. Not too long. I'm related to Lester and Joe.
Oh, all right. Okay. Well, that's cool. All right. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I wish I could have had Joe answer your question. I wish he could have talked to you, but I don't have it set up that way. But thanks for calling, Lisa.
That's okay.
All right. Bye-bye. Joe, she said she knows you. Lisa.
Yeah, that's my aunt.
Oh, it's your aunt. Okay. Well, that's cool. I like having people call in. Here's another one. Who was that? Okay, I don't know if somebody left, but anyway, Trump. We are stopping cold tax on Judeo-Christian values. Now that's a good thing. Christianity is under attack. It always has been. We need to stop attacking Christians in this country, Joe.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is supposed to be a freedom of religion country.
I don't know. We sit here, Joe. We could go on all night about. I wanted to come on here and just give you some things, Joe, and by looking at this, I mean, there's just so much he's done, and it would actually take us 2 shows probably to go over all these, and I don't know if we just want to go over them all or not.
We're not even like a quarter of the way through the list.
Well, Joe, you read a couple off. Read a couple off here that I haven't read. You got it open there?
The Senate confirms 65 Trump nominees for various positions.
That's a good thing.
That's pretty great, yeah.
Keep reading, Joe.
Trump's EPA to repeal Obama's Waters of the U.S. rule.
Okay.
I don't know what that was.
Me neither, but I'll look it up later. So
Yeah.
keep reading. So read a couple more.
President Trump announces massive permit reform push. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Treasury to call for rolling back banking regulations.
Well, I guess there needs to be some regulation in banking. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm reading right here, Trump signed 53 bills into law. I mean, nobody cares. That's the whole point. All these things this man has done, Joe, in less than 2 years being the president. He's done more in less than 2 years, Joe, than most presidents do in 2 terms, 8 years, Joe.
Oh, yeah. Here's a big one. Quarter 2 GDP up 3.1%.
Well, that is huge. And another thing.
4 years of Obama, that there was never an increase of 1%, was there?
No, I don't believe there was. But how many African Americans? I hate calling them African Americans. But that's what they call themselves. I wish they'd just be called Americans. But do you realize that there's more African Americans that voted for President Trump than they ever have any other Republican that's ever ran? I mean, he's putting them back to work. What did Obama do for his people? I know he was half. And there's nothing. I'm not racist or nothing. But
right.
What did Obama do for the black man, like living in the Chicago slums? What did he do for them? He didn't bring them out of poverty. Trump is helping them.
Since the 60s, these Democrats have been pushing these social programs, saying that they're gonna help blacks, and they actually usually harm those communities more than anything.
You're daggone right, Joe. And I tell you the truth, if I was a black man, I think I would try to get all of my black friends to vote for President Trump, because that man is helping them. He's not holding them down. I'll tell you, the liberals want them to stay on welfare and want them to get free checks just so they'll vote for him, Joe. Absolutely. I know what's in their little scheme. That's their little thing, you know. Let's give them free stuff and they'll vote for us. No, let's give them a good job where they can make a good living, not be in poverty their whole life, you know.
Absolutely.
Now listen, last week, well, not last week, well, we talked about it a little bit last week, but I know like I mentioned earlier, he was doing this video about, you know, Molly Tibbetts. Now Trump, that was just one woman that got killed by, I'll call them illegal aliens. I know the liberals, they like to call them undocumented immigrants, but let's call them what they are. They're illegal aliens. Now, back in June of this year, President Trump said that undocumented immigrants or illegal aliens have killed 63,000 U.S. citizens since September 2001, 9/11, all right? 9/11. Now, I was reading this fact-checking website, and they was trying to lower these numbers down, you know. They said it was false, but here's the thing I say, Joe, and I've been hearing a lot of stuff about these illegals killing Americans. Joe, even if that number was only one, that's one too many to me, man. That's one too many for me. That's American.
Yeah. You can come out and say that somebody died, and to some people, it's just a number and a statistic. They don't actually feel like that's the person who actually died.
Well, how do you feel, Joe? I mean, your true feelings about an illegal immigrant that's not even supposed to be here killing a U.S. citizen. I mean, what's your take on that, man?
Well, it's sickening, the murder aspect of it, of course, but more specific to the legality of immigration. I mean, that's one of those issues that's really hard to be an originalist on, because I really try to be an originalist, man. But you know, when our country first happened, we really had pretty much an open policy. You just had to naturalize if you wanted to have certain special rights, such as voting rights. But now, I mean, with all the socialist programs and stuff that we have, and the government forcing businesses to operate services, it's completely unrealistic to have an originalist.
Yes, it is unrealistic, and I was reading these articles. I've been reading a lot of articles about illegals killing U.S. citizens. Now, last week in Minnesota, this illegal was deported back to Mexico. I mean, he was a criminal, and he came back and stabbed his ex-girlfriend to death, then slashed his own throat. Now, I read this stuff all the time. Now, listen, in New York, the governor of New York, I think his name's Andrew Cuomo, if I'm saying his name right, He pardoned this illegal immigrant that had criminal convictions just hours before ICE was ready to pick him up and deport him. Now, how could this governor deport a guy knowing that the immigration is coming to pick him up and take him out of this country? It's beyond, and California is doing the same thing, Joe. They're doing the same thing. That's just liberal thing. They're these bleeding hearts. It's beyond me. It's just, I hear so many stories about American citizens dying, or these illegals, they'll come over here and they'll drive drunk and they're just committing all these crimes. Joe, we've got enough bad people in our own country. We don't need any more bad people in this country.
I agree. It goes back to the idea of just respecting our laws in general. I mean, if you come in and do it the right way, nobody has a problem with it. But I mean, if you're going to sneak in through some back door, we already know that you don't respect our laws.
That's right. And when you come here, and we've said it a million times, not a million times, but you come to America to assimilate to our values, our ways, our beliefs. You know, you salute our flag. It's okay to still love your country where you come from, but when you come to America, you should love this country, because if you come here the right way, you would love this country, and you would die for this country. Why are you coming over here? Don't come over here just to take from us and get free stuff and send your money back to people in your country. Well, heck, they don't have anybody. This lottery system and the way things work, if an illegal does get over here, he's allowed to bring his whole family with him.
Yeah.
It's just stupid, man. Catch and release. What kind of laws? Catch and release. Obama. That was Obama stuff.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And that whole DACA thing's crazy, man.
Yeah.
And listen, I wasn't going to mention John McCain on here tonight, all right? I ain't going to say nothing because he's got kids, all right? I don't know exactly how many he's got. I heard he's got 5 kids, but I respect his kids. His kids ain't never done anything. But here's the only thing I'm going to say about John McCain here before our show ends, Joe. Now, President Trump, he had the American flag lowered to half-staff the morning John McCain died. Now, according to Eisenhower, I think it was Eisenhower, he made a proclamation that when a senator dies, you lower the flag to half-staff the day he dies, then the next day, then you raise it back up. Now Trump went by protocol, but everybody made such a big fuss out of it that Trump had to lower it back down again. Now, that's the only thing that kind of... I think they're using John McCain to snap at Trump. I really do. I think they're trying to get Trump over McCain's death, and that's the only thing I'm griping about tonight.
Yeah, I think they are too, and that's pretty sick. That's pretty disgusting, actually. And you know, you were telling me about that before the show started, and I looked it up, and I can confirm that. Yeah, I mean, everything that Trump did was 100% in accordance with the U.S. flag code.
Yeah, I thank you for looking that up, because I hope everybody else does look it up too. Trump did nothing wrong about what he did by raising that flag back up, because it's right in our flag code. And Joe, another thing about our the American flag, the way it's being treated nowadays, people burning on it, spitting on it, stepping on it. It's a disgrace, and I've always said I believe our flag code should be enforced. I think there ought to be some kind of penalties if you break that flag code. Because, I mean, you got to look at what it stands for, Joe. It should be looked at as like a living entity, or the American flag should. I mean, it really means a lot. A lot of men died for that flag, for what it stands for, Joe. A lot of men died for that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, I definitely sympathize with symbolism, definitely a lot more than most people do. Now, I respect our flag a whole lot.
Well, I got 2 daughters, and they're both older than you, Joe, but I always raised them, to respect the American flag, and they both fly flags, and I hope wherever you're living, Joe, you're flying one too. I hope you fly it. I know your cousin Les does, but now everybody's probably wondering what's going to happen to John McCain's seat. Now, Joe, I was reading that the governor of Arizona, he's going to have to appoint a Republican senator until they have a special election in 2020. Then whoever wins in this special election will serve out the remainder of John McCain's term, which will be in 2022. like I said, a senator serves a 6-year term, so that's what's going to happen to his seat. But I hope they get somebody in there that's going to back our president, because we need them seats, Joe. There's only 100 senators. We need every senator we can to help our president, buddy.
Yeah, we sure do.
And any more you want to add to that or anything?
Not really. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about their governor out there. I know he's a Republican, but this day and age that doesn't really mean much. So I hope he makes a good choice.
Well, it ain't just Republican. It's like Les said last week. I want people in there that's going to abide by the Constitution, Joe. It's all about the Constitution, man. That's what it's about. It's even a Democrat. Why can't they just abide by the Constitution? That's all they got to do, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, they don't want to. I mean, like we were talking about before, I mean, that's on the left, that's their biggest obstacle.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, Joe, our Constitution is the foundation of our home, and it is being chipped away, and once that Constitution's gone, Joe, we will become some kind of socialist or communistic country without that Constitution. That is our rights, and that gives them their powers too. You know what I'm saying? It balances out right. That Constitution does. Absolutely. I mean, it's not just our rights. But it tells what the politicians are allowed to do. It's their power. Yeah,
and it's there to restrict the government.
We have to have that. We have to have it, Joe.
Absolutely.
We're getting down. I think it's 8:58. We got a couple of minutes. Anything you'd like to talk about right now?
No, I don't have anything.
You don't have anything? Well, I got something else. I got everything to talk about. I just want to know if you had anything you want to throw out there. But they're out there in Laredo, Texas. They busted 18 illegal aliens inside a sleeper cabin of a tractor trailer. Now, I know your cousin said you could put 18 Mexicans in a Volkswagen or a phone booth, but how in the heck do you put 18 Mexicans in one of those tractor trailers? Well, anyway, Joe, we got our 1-minute warning. You can go ahead and tell everybody goodbye, then I'll tell them goodbye, brother.
30 seconds.
Tell them bye, Joe.
Thanks everybody for listening. Have a good night.
All right, this is Donald Westman. Right here, we just wrapped up another All Aboard. I'll see you all again next week. Jimmy, play the song. We're not going to take it. Take it there, Jimmy.